Hello, this is my go-to vintage inspired makeup look that I do almost every time I do my makeup. First, I am applying my foundation with a Real Techniques buffing brush. I just use it to really work it into my skin and make sure that there's a even layer everywhere. It looks a little bit light on camera, but in person it matches, I promise. And here I'm taking a Real Techniques makeup sponge and just really making sure that it is blended into the skin, getting rid of any streak marks left over from the brush, etc. Here I am taking some concealer. I forget what it's called, sorry. I use this under my eyes and anywhere where my skin has a tendency to get red. So my nose, my forehead, my chin, just a little bit of extra coverage wherever I need it. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer, and I use this for any blemishes or acne scarring that was not covered up by the foundation. I only use this where I need it. Blending it into my skin. Mark being awkward in the background. Although I have no room to talk because I'm being awkward right now. Right now I am using the Becca liquid highlighter. I believe it's in the shade Pearl, but I'm not 100% sure because any writing on the outside of the package has since rubbed off. And now I'm using my foundation brush to just blend it into my skin. And now I'm using the Airspun powder to set where I get oily and where I have concealed. I only use powder where I absolutely need it. I think overpowdered skin is what will really make you look heavily made up if you're too heavy-handed with it. Now I am taking a Real Techniques contour brush and a shade from the NYX contour kit, and I am contouring my cheeks. I try to contour as naturally as possible. You can see I am putting the brush where I want the most pigment first, and then when most of the product is off the brush, then I blend down a little bit more, and I'm using circular motions to blend it as well. I'm just trying to naturally bring out the natural contours of my face. I'm not trying to drastically change the shape of my face. Trying to make my forehead look a little bit smaller. And now I am taking a slightly angled fluffy brush and I'm using this to contour my lips and a little bit on the sides of my nose. I am being very light-handed with my nose contour because once again, I'm not trying to drastically change the shape of my nose. I don't particularly like how that looks on me. I am taking the this highlight shade from a Physicians Formula face palette. I believe it is the Highlighting Pearls. And I'm putting this in all the places I want to highlight. Tops of the cheekbones, Cupid's bow, nose, etc. And now I'm taking the blush shade from the Physicians Formula palette and I am applying it to my cheeks. I go back quite a few times because this was actually my first time using this palette and I wasn't sure how pigmented the blush would be. It's actually not super duper pigmented, so I kind of built it up little bit by little. When I built it up to as deep as I wanted it to be, it was a really pretty shade. I'm just applying this to the apples of my cheeks, a little bit on the temples, a little bit on the tip of the nose. I'm taking a collab eyebrow pencil. I get this at Sally's. I really love it. I think it's comparable to the Anastasia Beverly Hills, but obviously much cheaper. My eyebrows could be a tutorial all in their own. So if you want that, then let me know. I am making my tail a little bit longer. And as you can see, I'm bringing my eyebrow a little bit closer to my nose, because my natural eyebrow shape is not the most flattering for my face. I was a preteen in the early 2000s where the super skinny brows were in style. I'm taking a little bit of the Age Rewind concealer. I just remembered what it was called. And I'm just kind of cleaning up the fronts so that it's not messy. And now I'm just doing the same on the other side. I tried to clip this part of the video out because you don't need me to see both of my brows, but I couldn't figure out how to do that in this app. So here's my other brow in case you wanted to see. But yeah, I'm pretty much doing the exact same thing to this brow. Brows are one of those things where I try to make them look as natural as possible, which can be tricky when you don't really have a lot of brows like me. But I think this eyebrow pencil makes it easy to do that. I'm looking for something. I'm not sure what. Oh, I'm taking a fluffy brush and I'm taking the third shade in from the Jaclyn Hill palette. I believe it was the first one. And as you can see, I am focusing most of the pigment in the kind of outer half of my eye. And I am bringing it into the inner corner of my eye when most of the pigment is off the brush. So that's where I'm focusing most of the pigment. And then I'm bringing it in when most of the pigment is off. And then I'm using circular motions to blend it out. And I do this on both sides. I'm taking a slightly smaller blending brush from Kokie Cosmetics. And I'm taking the shade right underneath the first shade that I used. And I am focusing that deep into the socket. I don't want to completely cover the first color that I used. I just want to create the illusion of more depth. And I'm blending it. Once again, I'm not blending it as high as the first shade. I don't want to cover it. I just want to add layers to create a little bit more depth. How many times did I say depth? Just kind of using the first blending brush to make sure there's no harsh lines. Oh, I'm taking a mixture of the two shades that I used in my crease, and I'm just taking a teeny tiny blending brush, and I'm just running that under my lash line for a little bit of definition there. And then I'm taking the highlighter I used on my face on like a tiny packing brush, and I am using that all over my lid, and I just keep going back for more product until I'm happy with the opacity of the color. And then I'm taking this brush from e.l.f. I have no idea what it's called. And then I'm taking the first shade in the Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm using that to highlight my inner corner and my brow bone. Once again, blending, making sure there's no harsh lines. And then I'm taking this liner brush from Real Techniques, and I'm mixing those two dark brown colors. And I'm tapping off the excess. You can't see it, but I tapped off the excess. And then I am lining, I would say, half of my lash line. So I'm using that to line my eyes. I didn't wet the brush. I'm just using eyeshadow, and I'm creating a wing. And then I'm taking the same brush that had some concealer on it that I used to clean up my eyebrows to make sure my wing is as sharp as I want it to be. And then I'm doing the same on the other eye. Once again, I would have liked to cut this part out because you don't need to see me do both eyes. But, you know, I'm not very good with technology and editing apps and all that stuff. So here's my second eye, the exact same thing as the first eye. Cleaning up the wing. And then I'm taking the mascara of my choice, and I am applying the mascara. As you can see, I'm kind of pulling the wand out towards my outer corner because I'm trying to kind of create the illusion of very almond shaped eyes. I'm trying to accentuate the wing that I just did. So I'm pulling the mascara wand out so that my lashes are kind of going in the direction of the wing. I hope that makes sense. I'm kind of doing the same thing with my lower lash line because without makeup, my eyes are a little bit downturned, so I try to lift them up any opportunity I can get. The eyes are done. Now, I use this a lot. This is a shade by Charlotte Tilbury. I think it's called Coral or something. But today I decided to use Russian Red by MAC. The Charlotte Tilbury one is a really great coral for pale skin tones because it's not overly orange. Now I'm taking a lip brush and I'm loading it up with the lipstick. And I am following my natural lip line here. I'm not concerned about making my lips even at this point. I'm not concerned about adjusting my lip shape at this point. I am just following my natural lip line just to get started. So I'm working the product into my lips. I'm asking Mark to please get me a paper towel to blot my lips. Now, the MAC matte lipsticks can be very dry, and I found that the best way to apply them is with a lip brush and really working them into the lips. That is the way that they look the best, and that's the way they last the best in my experience with them. Now, the second time I apply them, that's when I'm kind of focusing on adjusting my lip shape a little bit, making sure they're even. I don't try to overdraw my lips because I feel like that just looks really fake on me personally. So I just try to kind of work with what's naturally there and just make small adjustments so that my lips look a little bit more symmetrical. My top lips, one kind of goes straight down and one's a little bit rounder, so I try to kind of make the other side look a little bit rounder so that they're even. And that's my makeup look.